hello there, humans of his earthlings, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and whoever you're bloody well lucky enough to be doing it to. I hope you like my little mate Manu the Wonder Dog, who is doing it today in recovery. He's just had his operation, and it all went very well. For those that don't know, my little buddy got knocked off by a four-wheel drive while he was playing Eat the Car, and didn't go very well for my mate, but in 6 months he'll be fully recovered. And after I take out that second mortgage, I'll be able to pay off the vet's bills. Just so you know, this is the AMX 50B, and I'm running the camo. Now, I want to take a second to say something about this. The camo job that Wargaming have done on the AMX 50B, the IS-7, the T110E5, with their authentic camouflage that they've put on them, or their personalised camo that they've got, is pretty freaking brilliant. This tank looks the nuts. This is a Patreon-sponsored post. I really need all the people out there who love the channel to sponsor me on Patreon and give me an opportunity to keep the lights on and keep the channel going, because you know, it is a privilege to be doing this, but at the same time, it's not a privilege for my wife, and she's pretty determined that I should show some form of contribution. Now, why am I doing this? Well, basically, if you remember a little while ago, I started doing a few of these free-game checks with the grill and tanks like that. I just wanted to run this, and I did exactly the same thing. Just loaded up this afternoon and had a crack, because I had a really disappointing day. I did a stream this morning on the NA server, and the internet just absolutely flummoxed me. So I've got the guys from Telstra coming around in the morning, and we're going to play heads or tails. Heads, it's their fault, and they pay for the technician bill. Tails, they say it's all my fault, and I get to whinge and moan about it. So I bet you I know which way it's going to go. AMX 50B. It's pretty special. Now, you might have noticed in the Grim vs. Pramo Clan Wars that I recently threw up on the page on the YouTube channel that there was an awful lot of AMX 50B action. And I don't drive this enough, but I would like to commend Wargaming, first of all, for putting another autoloader line in after the debacle that was the American autoloader line. And not just any autoloader line. This line has been very, very well received, and it's got a lot of really good tanks in it, and this is really, for me, the top dog. I adore this tank, and it's increasingly seen by the guys that can really play the game as a pretty special vehicle, and there's a reason for that. It's the enormous damage output, and it's just the blend of mobility and gun depression that means you can really pump out some big numbers. And you'll note when you fire, you've got 2.5 seconds reload between shells. That means that in a 2.5 second period like that, you can pump 800 damage very, very quickly, like I did into that T54, and you just do fantastic things. And when you learn to utilize that mobility and that reload in a positive manner, wow, this tank performs. And while you won't see a heap of T57 heavies in game, although you will see one in this next game, you are starting to see more and more of these AMX 50Bs. It's got a hell of a punch on it. You can whack 1200 damage out in 5 seconds. Now, that is something that even at tier 10 is not easy to handle. And if you can learn how to stick it in the front line, now the reason why I have binoculars on this tank, I did like to drive it like a bit of a backseat sniper, but I found that being aggressive in it has been far more productive for me. What you'll generally find is that it is the king of hit point swapping. Now, you'll see in the next game I'm probably a touch too aggressive, and it leads to some overly passive play, and that leads to a bit of a problem. But in this game, I think I get a really nice blend of aggression and conservative, controlled aggression. And I think that's really what you've got to play like this with this tank, is controlled aggression. If you swap hit points with another heavy, you're generally going to come off with about a 400 to 500 damage shell into your tank, and hopefully 1200 damage into their tank, which is a big number. And you can see this STB1 is pushed up very, very hard here. And we're going to pump around. The other thing this tank has going for it is the armor profile on the tank itself is not amazing on the turret, but it can be a bit awkward. But the armor profile on the lower and upper glacis is absolutely brilliant. It is one of the best in game in terms of bouncing and angles and everything like that. And the gun is very, very, very reliable. You're going to see here there's a 54 E1. Now this is really odd because you don't see many E1s and you don't see many T57 heavies, and we're going to see two of them in game. You see he's been tracked there, and that's been done a really good job up the top by our Object 140 who tracked him, and our Leopard 1 who did the same thing, and he got absolutely drilled up there. And you can just check out, you wait, then you roll out, and then you punch. And that's exactly the perfect play style that you want to be running at Tier 10. One of the problems with Tier 10 is that you quite often find you conserved hit points for so long and you did damage, and they're just kind of empty numbers. Whereas with this tank, if you play it in this kind of shock trooper, assault tank style, you can get up in the face of the enemy, do some nice damage, pull back, reload, and do it again. And if you see other tanks around doing the same thing, or you do it, other tanks get into the same frame of mind and they roll forward and they bang, biff, and it's on like Donkey Kong. Now, I'm a huge fan of this tank, and it's great to see that it gets driven so often. You can see there's another Tier 9 Frenchie right there, and it just tends... Look at that gun. I mean, that's a Tier 10 heavy. You try doing that in the IS-7 and see how you feel. We're now doing 0. I'm going to go from 0 to top shelf speed, getting a nice bounce there, just angling up underneath the mountain. We're now doing in excess of 40 kilometers an hour, charging a tortoise, and we're going to go straight past him. And that's that mobility. Just absolutely superb mobility. Look at the tank handle. It's like having a big, nasty medium. 2.5 seconds later, double tap, thank you very much for coming. So you can see it's having no qualms whatsoever outputting damage. Where you're going to struggle with this tank is if you play aggressively and come off second best. And that's why I'm really glad that the third game I had here is the third game I had. Otherwise you'd just think it was a super tank and you were going to win every time. And I played too aggressively at the start, and it's a big problem with autoloaders. You want to get all 3 shots off. Now, this is where the 57 Heavy really falls down for me. Of all the sins that it has, like it's not as well endowed in terms of mobility. Its armor is pretty meh as well. And its gun isn't as good. Where it really falls down for me is in the extra time required in the 57 Heavy to take a shot. The 57 Heavy has a much tougher time of it because the AMX 50B, while it obviously has the gorgeous 2.5 second reload between shells, the 57 Heavy has a 3.33 second reload. So to put that in perspective, when you fire 3 shells in the AMX 50B, it takes 5 seconds. In the 57 Heavy, it takes 6.66 seconds, or nearly 7 seconds, which is a huge difference. Like 1.66 seconds is a massive difference between someone getting their gun around and getting a shot off and not getting a shot off. And if you also look at it from this perspective, someone's hitting you with a big TD gun. They get hit, and then there's 3.33 seconds in the 57 Heavy and 2.5 seconds in the AMX 50B. They turn the gun towards you. As they do so, their aiming reticle is still large, and then it starts to go down. The fact that you get to pull back after firing 1.6 seconds earlier, 1.33 seconds earlier, can be the difference between a completely unaimed shot from a big 150mm gun and a really well-aimed shot. And that might come up to 600 hit points in the end of a battle, 640 hit points, and that can be where you lose it. Now, I get a great shot here on the grill, and I then get greedy. There's only 2 tanks spotted, 3 tanks spotted. I can get that Leo. Hang on, there's the 4th tank. There's another Leo, so I take one straight away. That's all right, I'll get another shot on the grill. Oh, bugger. Absolutely ludicrous. I took 1,000 damage while handing out 1,200, and that's all well and good, but that's not a good hit point swap. It's a really, really poor hit point swap. I should have taken the first shot on the grill and just pulled back. That would have been a 550 alpha shell. I could have completely reloaded. And as it was, I've learnt my lesson way too late. I don't stick around there. I'm moving backwards and forwards. I'm now going to do a reload and head to the back because the E100 is pushing up on the right, and I simply cannot afford to be sitting here, not putting damage in, and holding onto one shell. So I'm going to do a full reload, move around here, and look for another shot down there. Now that grill is down in that bottom of that valley. I'm looking for him. The leopard one's moving along the top. Why am I not going all the way up the top? Well, I don't have any shells in the chamber yet, and I'm just keeping it down here so I don't get spotted, and that means I get to fire a fully blind shot shell, so straight from camo. The E100 moving down there. I probably should have stuck. There's one there into him. Straight in the back. And now I'm just sitting here on a reload. At the moment, we're in a little bit of strife. The FV215B is doing the best he can. But because I'm up here, the E100, I can't really hit point share with that FV215B, which is another problem that's happened because I felt like I couldn't be on the front line with the severe lack of hit points that I had, and we bounced this shot. This is criminal. Just one of those things. Really bad. And I switched to APCR for the second one, but that was a big miss. It means that the next shot I take on the Leopard 1 is... I'm not there in time. I would have been there earlier. And it all stems from just being a little bit more conservative because I was too aggressive at the start. So we're going to lose this one. We're going to go down. We're still going to do 3,000 damage. So it's a fairly good indicator. With this tank, you can rock up 3k games pretty consistently. And look at the speed on this thing. We go so quickly around there. We're doing in excess of 50 kilometers an hour that the poor old ISA can't get to me. But it's all over now. All over bar the shouting. Just can't get the gun down. There's too many tanks on us. It's all over. That's the AMX 50B, boys and girls. I think it is a big success. It's a credit to Wargaming. I know when it came out, I was a little bit worried that it was underdone and that it wasn't going to be as strong a tank as it was on PC, because on PC it doesn't have a lot of the mitigating factors that go on. But at the same time, on the Blitz version of the game, you don't have to deal with artillery or any of that rubbish. And so you get a fairly good look at the game without having to worry about relocating all the time or where the artillery is coming in from. I hope you enjoyed that one. Cracker tank, really good line. I think they nailed the French line. Really love it. Right from the 5 on up, it's a good line of tanks. All of them were winners for me. All of them were tanks I really, really enjoyed driving. Going to be doing a lot of stuff over the next few days, so stick around. Make sure you keep coming back. There's going to be a heap of content on channel. Sorry about the quality of the stream this morning. It really sucks for me. I'm just so frustrated with the internet here in Australia. It's killing me. I want to do lots and lots and lots of streams, and as soon as I get this internet online and rolling properly so that I can get decent upload speeds, then we are going to be doing a lot of streaming, and I'll be able to stream to both Twitch and YouTube, so that should be good fun for all concerned. I'm Bushka on Blitz. Look after your families. Keep being beautiful people. If you would sponsor the channel, that would be bloody helpful. And until next time, stay safe on the battlefield.